Right, a little bit of a different one today. This is my Neo Geo arcade machine, which I was given by a lovely chap called Bernie. It's an old girl, she's been around since the 1990s, and I think she's spent about 10 years, just sitting in Chinese takeaway doing nothing. It was faulty, and when I got it, I did repair it. Down the front it did have a 4-way split machine, hence the select and starts up here, but that failed and died, so I put a single one into it, which then worked. Then the monitor failed. She's in tatters, as you can see. Main controller's gone, second one's been absolutely battered, and 2 of these buttons don't work. Plus bits and bobs have just been repaired over the time. Not too sure, it's had water damage at the bottom. It's sitting up on some like blocks. Who knows what happens there. But it was built and manufactured by Brent Leisure Limited. I would assume back in the 1990s. I don't know if they were commissioned to build these machines, because it looks like a bit of a hybrid. It doesn't look like what you would expect a Neo Geo arcade to look like. Maybe this is what they did look like in the UK. Let us know down in the comments if you know a little bit more, because I've got no idea. What I will do is I will get another camera and I will get close up inside there, and we can have a look at the insides. Okay, so here she is up and close. Like I said, the second joystick's had quite a lot of damage to it. There's just nothing left in it. Again, buttons failing. Not too sure if this is a real piece. It just seems to be add-on, and so do these. Maybe just to stop people from lifting it up. I don't know. I will have a look. Try and get that out. Maybe that might be. There's a clamp on the inside that holds this up underneath. So maybe these were a necessity to keep the unit down and strong. Who knows? Like I said, I'm not too sure if it's had any water damage, because it's up on these blocks. This doesn't seem to be normal to me, but maybe they were installed just so you could get a trolley underneath it nice and easy. Hence this metal bar and foot plate, just so the trolleys could get up underneath and lift it away if needed. There's the money box in there. Manky old plate there, probably segregating these two pieces. Behind here is the actual unit itself, the main brain. Again, I think this silver lining was probably all the way around the edge of the arcade, but it seems to have been chopped here, and then this random bit of rubber has been Tbar has been put in. It's coming off all over the place. So I'll replace all that. I'm probably going to put silver down through it, maybe edge this off lovely and nicely, you know, get it nice and clean, and then put a nice bit of fresh metal looking Tbar in there. I do have some new acrylics which I've had printed up. I copied as much as I could get out of these details with the stars and these little ridges and more paint coming off. But what I will probably try and do is I might lose these bolts and these bolts. I don't like the look of that. I like it when it's nice and clean, and I'll probably put a bit of Perspex over the top of it to protect it, to protect the new one. I know this is original. People will say, "Oh, you should keep it original," but I don't know whether this machine is a legitimate Neo Geo. I think it's probably been hybrid together. Like I say, this. It's a funny old machine. I've not seen them before. Brent Leisure Limited manufactured it. At the back, the usual damage where it's been pushed up against the wall. Yeah, see, it's been cleanly cut there. But over the other side, it continues on down. So, well, as far as that, it makes me think it's just been probably pulled off and snapped, and they've just cut it straight like that just to make it a nice clean edge so nobody cuts themselves. Good job they didn't electrocute themselves. The wires received some damage, so somebody just put some electrical tape around it. Lovely. Twist and tape. Right, let's have a little quick peek inside. Keys came with it, thank God. Otherwise I would have had to drill these barrels out before and take them out. So it's just a basic bracket holding it down in the groove there, and we'll rest that there because I don't want to lose it. There's your speakers, your audio cables going down, a few stranglers, pretty tidy inside. There's the controller that controls the money box, the coin slot, which is that piece there. It's had a bit of repair by the looks of it. Somebody's thrown some junction block in there, floating wire there, probably a neutral or something like that. And that, yeah, disappears all the way off down there. There's the back of the dreaded monitor, which has failed, so we need to take a look at that and strip that out and see how the video is carried to that. I'm hoping it's VGA because I've got an interlace. It does fake lines, so I can put a new monitor in it, but again, we'll have to see. We'll have to take this metal off as well, give it a bit of a respray maybe, tidy that up. Right, here is where the money box lives, on little runners like a normal shelf. It's a bit sticky. So yeah, it's pretty cool seeing these old boxes that they used to make. It's good. Woodwork as well as electronics involved in these old machines. Okay. And under here, if I can get it right, what a loser, come on. Finally, right. Again, these little brackets they used to like putting on and slotting them down in the grooves. And there is the Neo Geo single slot. I popped that back in place of the 4-way because the 4-way had failed and I couldn't get it to come back to life, and I don't really know enough about the main board on it to start replacing components. So to ease me, I just, you know, it's not going in anywhere. I'm not renting out or anything. This is my machine because I love the Neo Geo so much. So I just bought the single one from AliExpress, I think. Only cost me like 45 quid. I did the usual and replaced the battery with a clip-in battery cell so it doesn't leak, and bought the multi-game cartridge. Not every game is on there. Obviously it says 161 in one, but there's a few duplicates on there, there's a few bootlegs on there and stuff like that. You know, not all of them are on there, but the majority are there. There's the wiring loom. I don't like seeing things like this. Makes me think, is it a hybrid, or were these just standard looms that they used to get? Because to me, you would think in manufacturing that would be a custom loom and wouldn't need anything like that. You know, maybe it's a standard loom for multiple machines, 4-ways, 2-ways and singular machines. There's your 12-volt, 5-volt power supply. He needs tying down. This whole thing does slide out. Don't want to put too much. So there's the main guts of the machine. But what I will be doing is stripping it down. I will probably take this panel off. Probably this loom here is going up to it. ID all the neutrals for the buttons and the triggers. There'll be a single neutral going through all of these, and it'll just trigger back on a single, you know, 4 for the up, down, left, right, and 4 for the button. So 8 signals and 8 signals for the second player as well. So I'll dress all them in, get this out, tidy up what I can, take this bar out, probably sand it down and spray that back up nice and clean. I'm going to have to put that back in just because they've drilled these holes in the front and they've picked up this metal plate. I'll have a look at this. I'll take this off and see where this metal, you know, the actual proper one underneath sits, and maybe take this off as well and tidy it up because it's broken here. You know, Perspex is
moving there, so I might have to chisel that bit out, maybe level it off, run a new line down in there so this sits nice and stable inside it, and then I can refresh it. Maybe, oh no, I won't put any paint. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, the start of this. Right, so there's the back of the TV, the old tube in there which has failed. But from what I can see, this here, this here is potentially video. And power? Not 100% sure. There seems to be a lot of terminal block up in there, so I'm hoping it's just those two plugs, because it might be easy to figure out and trace them back, because I've got the old wiring schematics for the old Neo Geos, but I thought this would have been mains, because look at the thickness of these cables here. Yeah, there's loads of it all dressed in all over the place, random tubes, loose tubes. Yep. So I'll unplug. Is that just a port? It is. I think that's going to be power, and that's going to be video. Let's get that there. Unbolt that. Is that part of the telly, or who knows? But yeah, we'll get stuck into that in a bit. Just a quick one. Like I said, with regards to this control deck, it's bolted in, and then it's like a lever that pulls it down on the corners. I think that may be what this is. If it's not, I'm gonna get rid of this. But the levers are just up in here. See if I can get my hand on it. Yeah, I don't know. You can't really see, but they're just up in there. It's dark. That metal lever there, I think you can see it. It won't focus. So I'll unclip that and the other side and see if that thing falls off. Right. There it is. So, woo, on the other side somewhere. This is always nice, putting your hand up so you don't know what's in there. Yeah, it's the same the other side. Poor old spiders. It's quite heavy, even though there's not a vast amount to it. Okay, so I do have a load of fresh buttons, green, reds. I think these take voltage as well, so these can light up. So I'll probably wire the power in as well to them. Green, yellow, red, blue, same as the Neo Geo stuff. Don't need the USB controller because it's not going onto a PC in any way. This is going direct to an original board. And I do have two completely new buttons, joysticks, sorry, Marquee In red. So if you've got a multimeter, just put it on your beep test. Obviously test, you get continuity through. But like here, somebody's soldered onto this section here. So we'll get it to focus on that a little bit down there. Yeah, so somebody's soldered here. I expect this one here to be the signal back, because you wouldn't have a dual signal going back off a single button. But they're all, for some reason, they're jeweled up, which is a bit odd. But let's see what if we're beeping at anything. Well, that's not a good start, is it? None of them are beeping. Why are you not beeping? Okay, they're all over the place. Oh, that one, I think that plug should be on the top there. Oh, of course they're grimy, that's why. Look at them. Scratch the grease off of them. So that's coming, that's coming, that's coming. But that one's wrong. So what I probably will do to save my sanity is put them around the correct way. It doesn't overly matter because they're just open, go and closed relays, but on an engineering side of things, you're going to want them to conform so you know where they're at. Is it going to beep again? No? Yes? Yeah. Cool. There we go. So all the top are the common. So whatever engineer did that didn't have any crimps on them, so we got the soldering iron out and soldered them on. And I'd expect these ones over here are actually really quite tidily dressed in. But that one's upside down. Yep, so this one here is the wrong way around. And it's taped on. Twist and tape. Love it.
Just a small note, I got these tiny little cutters with my Ender 3 printer, and they're super sharp and they cut cable ties and stuff like that back flush. So if any of you use cable ties, I've got scars all over me because of cable ties have been cut like in the shape of a razor. But these cut them back and they're quite solid. You know, they've not blunted yet, they've been really good. Just a random one for you.
Right, to mark these up, I'm just going to use some decorator's tape and a permanent marker. Hopefully the stickiness will hold. Should be alright, although this is a bit of old tape. So I'm going to start with the one. It's actually the wrong way around. This one should be on. This is the signal. And that is, let's play a 1 yellow. So P1 yell. Stop being lazy. Oh, P1 yellow. Right. That would have been a JB for the neutrals because it looks like it's split or broke at some point, and they've just spidered it out across everything here. So it's probably best if I find these like that. Do that. There you go, look. Example, it wasn't connected to anything. Wasn't going anywhere. Possibly was picking up another neutral, but who knows? That could be our common neutral there. If it is, it'd be nice because what I'll do is I'll daisy chain them, put them onto here, and daisy chain off to the next one, and onto the next one, onto the next one. So I'll mark that one up. Okay, so I was just tidying this one up, and again, it's just been taken into this bundle, and it's not required. It's not going anywhere. So get out. Any unnecessary wiring, just get it out of the way. Just if it gets left there, there's no point in it. It gets confusing.
Okay. Right. So it's all disconnected. Here's the 0-volt common that I was telling you about. As you can see, it would have been nice, but it looks like somebody broke it at some point and they've soldered a spider's nest off of it. So I will cut this back and make some nice joints, and then daisy chain it in and make it nice and neat. Here are the player 1 and player 2 joystick and buttons. I've dressed them in and tied them together, so that's all good. Then doing that, I've found this red cable which comes up with it. I'm half expecting that to be 12 volts DC, and if it is, I can use it to power the LEDs in my new buttons. These buttons don't have LEDs on them, although there is terminals on each side for them. So there's got to be something in there, isn't there? But they never did wire it in, so I will check that out. Let's take this out. Okay, so it's 2 pieces. This old thing, the tube, and then it's plugged in to that piece there. So can I bring that bit? Right, lesson learned. I'm going to put this back in. Oh, those are heavy. I'm going to pop these screws back in because they hold on to the frame, so we can take the whole thing out in one go, get a shot of it. So monitor and a subframe. So it will fall back in. Yeah. Right. Let's go again. And there it is. The whole thing. And she's heavy, so I'm just going to rest her down here. And now I'm going to relax.
Okay, so in the end, I managed to get it working on Scart with an older TV. I did try a few RGB converters, and that one I purchased, like this is a scanline interface. It just wouldn't have it. It seems that the modern monitors will not go to the low refresh rates. You might be lucky and get one, but as I know Scart works with modern TVs, sorry, Scart works with TVs, I just got the small 19-inch TV I had kicking around and got it working. So yeah, made the lead up from here, which is really easy. I'll put a schematic down for it, because you do have to give it a positive and a negative, sorry, a positive and a ground up through the Scart lead to get a really nice clean signal. It's not really what I wanted to do, because the actual Scart is cleaner than what the old lower hertz, but at least it gets the machine up and running, and we can push forward on repairing the frame.
Right, so now we've got the screens working. I'll take this game out. I will attempt to take this edge off, and this edge here. This bit's actually breaking away, so I'm probably going to have to make a piece to go in there. I've just had a look at everything I have. I do have some silver, but I don't think it's going to be enough to go fully from the bottom all the way up to around the top and down the back. So rather than have to order something else up, I've got some black edge. So I'm just going to use this. So let's start ripping it down. Alright, so has that been wrapped around underneath? Yeah, see this? It does. So this little piece here goes all the way, it's been clamped underneath, which is what makes me think these blocks have been added. So I'll just Stanley knife that piece and get that out of there. Okay, these silver pieces are quite solid, and in there we've got quite a bit of glue. So rather than try and break it from here, I'm probably going to use a small screwdriver and edge it from the back, just because it's going to be brittle, it's going to break, and it's going to fracture. So yeah, let's do that. So a lot of it's been re-glued rather than just hammered in. There was a nice bit there, but I'm having to really break it out. It's like quite brittle. It could be nice to be able to get a good run. Oh, see, it just breaks all the time. I was going to record myself taking this off because it can be quite satisfying to watch. Like here, you know, if you can get a bit like that, and normally you can just run your, but this is just going to break again. So I will carry on. Right, I've nearly got all of the edge on one of them, but as you can see, this is quite soft down here. I've got a feeling, yeah, this has definitely had some water damage, hence why it's up on blocks. Had to dig it out in some places. There's a lot of glue, and it dropped down through into these corners and just sat there for obviously for years. So I've had to get it out. A little bit annoyed with myself. I didn't take my time, put a bit of pressure on this edge here, so I'll sand that back. We'll put the cap on top of it, and then I'll repair that. This is going to break out, you know, because it's so brittle. So I'll have to put another bit in there. And again, this has been really, really glued in. I might just have to wiggle it back and forth. But then I've got to fight with that side. Whilst doing this, I've also noticed the supporting screws they've put in this side here. They've put these two in correctly, and this one's off. So on the inside, there it is, completely missing the support. So I will take that one out, lower it and wind it in, bit of putty in there, sand it down, and then paint it with the rest of it. I think this side's okay, and I've done all right that side. Again, needs to be wound in, puttied and sanded. Matte black car paint.
used on one of my previous videos. Let's see how it goes, isn't it? Not too worried about the carpet. There you go. Smells nice. Let that dry. And then we'll come back and start sanding down the side pieces. Right, I'm going to use a glove and push in the button as I spray around it. Just because I don't really want to pick up the edges too much. Hopefully it'll be alright. Okay, so it's drying up quite quickly. So what I'm keen to do is have a look at these buttons to make sure, or see if the tape's covered up and hasn't seeped in the edges. Hopefully it hasn't. Well, there we go. Done okay. There you go. That's a better way of doing it. Use your nails. Right, I will get the button put back together, which is now dry as well. So we should be able to get that bit out of there. Oh, that's okay. A little bit of seeped in the edges around there. That's a shame. That's okay. And that goes back in there like that. And then we can put that back together up there. Okay, so as you can see, I've put the glass back in. I did make a cutout in that cardboard that I had and I sprayed it black. Came up okay. I'm a little bit annoyed with this brown edging that comes on this glass, but that's how it was originally, so I think I'll keep it there as well. I haven't checked the screen settings yet because this glass is stained by the looks of it, so it's actually darker. I don't know if you can see it on the camera there. Another thing I've done is I've sanded down the filler I've put on the sides. That just needs to be sprayed up. Move that there because I also put a load of filler in here, smoothed out and sprayed it black. I've cut a piece of metal which is sprayed and drying at the moment, so that will sit here nicely. I've got new graphics that I've designed for the front piece coming, and I've got new graphics for the top piece, the control deck. I just need to put all this up. A lot of dust from the sanding. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I want to test
Make sure the cabling's still, because we've been messing around with it. And obviously the control deck was the first thing we took off. So let's find player one down there. So this green one should be player one down, and this is a common 0 volt. So when I short it, the arrow should come down. There you go. So if we go to like King of Fighters 94. Okay, these are player one. This player one red. There you go. So it should boot it again. Speaker's working okay. I did have to re-terminate the one on the right because it was messing up. Am I make it any clearer? Right. Looks okay. Looks okay beyond that. So, with regards to this, I've tightened the back up because it was quite loose, and I've popped a bit of WD-40 and let it soak into the key lock because it was quite grindy. And now it moves lovely now. So yeah, a little bit of WD-40 does wonders. We'll just pop this back in, just because it makes me feel better. That. Slowly coming together. Okay, so here's the original one. I've cleaned it all up. It's not too bad. Yeah, it is slightly faded at the top, obviously. Right there. Here's the Neo Turf Masters. I did a small video on creating these boxes, so if you're interested, take a look at that video. But here's my touched up and re-printed version of the Neo Turf Masters mini marquee. I do most of these touch ups myself. It's a little bit smaller than the original, although the writing is the same. So yeah, you can clearly see the difference in the two. I don't print on a thick plastic. I just print on a glossy card. So yeah, there's the two. I do like to stick them with the actual game cartridge. So I'm probably going to keep hold of these original ones and just stick them with the original game cartridge, because the Neo Turf Masters that I managed to get hold of them from my good old friend Bernie is one of the original ones with the colours in the sticker and everything. Yeah, it's quite nice. So I'll put that in there. Put the original one in there. And my version can go in there. So yeah, like I said, I've done a video on these before, so if you're interested, have a look at that. It's not a very long video, and if you want the measurements, I can get them to you. Okay, in the end, I decided not to stick it down on the face, just because it will get damaged and will get cut, and it actually, with the glass in front of it, it carries a much better, it just looks much better. So yeah, I can still use it as a sticker, but all I did was throw some edge. It's exactly the same as what they did. Bit of tape either end, stretched it flat, and then covered the edges. It just looks nicer with that glass edge in front of it. So let's try not to damage it as we put it in. So there it is, sat in place. The metal bar, it's nearly dry. Yeah. Here's the metal bar I was telling you about, which is going to replace underneath here, which will hide all that nasty edge. So you can still see where it says Pro Gear and everything like that, which is quite nice. Maybe next time I'll move the graphics down just a little bit and that one up. But that'll be okay like that. Okay, so I fitted the front plate. screwed up in there nicely. What I have done here is the screw's just a little bit longer because of the broken putty on the inside, but where it comes through, it does sit behind the middle of this, so it can't be pushed in there, which was a result. Okay, so I've sprayed both sides with some matte black paint. It seems to be hiding it quite nicely, but we'll just have to see how it dries. I'm going to mess up the top piece here a little bit, right? Just a little bit heavy on it, but we'll see how it dries. Okay, so I'm reasonably happy with the way the spray cans came out. It's not amazing, but it's all right. It will do. So next, I'm going to use a rubber mallet and try and knock this Tbar, although the Tbar's a bit out of shape. Let's just see how it sticks, how it goes. Hopefully it won't break. The edges too much. As you can see, the bottom of this is already pushed out anyway, but let's give it a go. Okay, so it's going on pretty good. Let's focus up down there. When it comes to an inside corner, you have to cut the inside of the Tbar just to get around that corner. So let's take that out of there. That's not too bad. Okay, so here's the open edge, obviously, with no Tbar and everything in it. Over here we've now knocked the Tbar in. A little bit of tidying up to do there. But it goes all the way up now, over on the corner, and goes all the way down to the rear of the machine. A bit of a clean up, much better. We're getting there. So I've measured out, it's 51 centimeters long. So 16 centimeters deep. Right, so there's the bit to cut. The brackets are actually 5 centimeters in from the front. No, 5 centimeters. And 1.8 in from the edge. Where's it going out? It doesn't have to be massively accurate.
there's that. So I'll get on with cutting this out. I have to cut one of these edges back by 45 degrees so it doesn't leave a space between the glass, or too much of a space between the glass, should I say. Right, so I've done a little bit of work. Here's the old control deck and everything. I'm going to leave that there. So I'm going to keep hold of that for nostalgia. Here is the underside, like an insert and everything. I had everything bolted to it as we saw. So I'll chuck that in the bin soon enough. I started working on the new control deck. So what I've done is the new joysticks have a very thin profile, which is quite nice. It gives me a little bit more room for the buttons there. As you can see, I've cut a groove in the top, not amazingly straight, but it's only going to sit the marquee inside it nice and sturdy. There's the two grabs which are bolted through. But what I've done, I drilled down, as you saw, and countersunk it. And then I filled over the top. It's a bit damp here because I just cleaned it off because it was absolutely covered from me sanding it down. So what can happen now is the new overlay that I've printed can go straight over the top of this. I'm wondering whether just to leave it as a new overlay over the top, or I've got a very thin piece of acrylic over there that I could cut and put over the top as well. It'll make it a little bit thicker this side, and then use the buttons to clamp it all down together. What sometimes happens is when you put a cover on the top of this, a sticker, if you clamp straight down on top of it with the button, sometimes it creases around the sticker where it's so tight on the buttons. So if I'm going to do that, I'll probably have to undo these bolts again and take these controllers off, then I can do a nice copy of that. So yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'm going to do that. I'm going to take these off, and I'm going to cut an acrylic to go over the top to protect the sticker. Also, a little side note, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've drilled the holes for the buttons as they are on actually the game pads, the Neo Geo console, the game controller. I've put the buttons in the same place because I found with this setup from the original arcade, I've got a feeling two of the buttons are the wrong way around. So when you're trying to do like a block on Samurai Showdown or something like, or Taunt or something like that, the buttons were the wrong way around. Whereas on this one now, we can put them in the correct location, so you can just tab on top of those two or tab on top of those two. So a bit wider apart, but the buttons are slightly bigger anyway. So there, yeah. Okay, so I've taken off the joysticks.
and use the plate to mark out a piece of Perspex. Any issue when drilling these is sometimes you can push down too hard. Just let the drill bit do the work, because it gets hot and heats it up and just basically melts its way through as it's cutting. Just don't put any pressure on it, otherwise this will split. So maybe just the weight of the drill that you're using, just rest it down on top of it and let it push through. Where it pushes through from this side, there is a slight lip that gets produced from in here, so a very small file. Just carefully take that lip down, because that obviously has to push down onto the top of the sticker and everything, and sometimes those edges will catch the sticker and tear it. Okay, so tidied that up. Now what I want to do is get the joysticks back in situ and bolt it back down again, so these don't get punched through and break the filler on the opposite side. So I will put these back in right now. Right, and here it is, the freshly designed graphics. It looks like everything's a little bit off to the left. I didn't take into account the position of the original ones to where I was going to put them. I suppose we could put the explosions over near the buttons, or make it obvious that the lines are off. I think what we'll do is I might rotate it and put the explosions where the buttons are. That way I can get a better wrap or front. Yeah, so that's a little bit awkward. Well, it is what it is. Yeah, I think if I do that, it will look obvious and silly, because it really needs to be off over there. I haven't got enough movement on the other side, so I'm going to put the explosion piece around where the buttons are and do it that way. Okay. So there's that stuck down. What we need to do now is standing knife down through where the holes are for the buttons.
Okay, these buttons come with a little shroud. Sometimes they get a little bit of plastic sticking out on the side of it, which you can catch your fingers on. I'll just take a Stanley knife and remove it. So this is the yellow button, so I'm going to go down through there. Okay, so there's all the buttons in. Probably put the covers now on the joystick. That's most of the nerve-wracking bit over and done with, so in black, what looks better? That way. Or that way. Quite like that way. So now I'll turn it over and do the collars. Okay, so the LEDs do just pull out. There's just like a little clamp in there. And they just pull out. So I was able to swap these ones around, so the red is the positive and the black is the negative. But this one, the blue, is not working, and I think by the feels, I'm moving the LED there, this leg's moving, but this leg isn't. So I'm assuming it's just snapped on the inside, so I will unfold these and see if I can repair this. If not, I have to try and find another LED. Yep, as expected, the positive leg has snapped on the inside. And it looks what they do is they put a resistor in line with it, so the solder is just snapped in here. So what I will do is I will re-solder that back on so we can get the blue LED working. Right, I bought this little clamp a long time ago and not used it a lot, but trying to hold these little wires would be an absolute nightmare. So hopefully that will hold it like there, like that, so I can solder it nice and easily. Little gadgets. Right, pardon my shaky hands. Alright, quick test before we put it back in. Long leg on these tend to be, yeah, there you go, nice and blue. The long leg is always the positive. So what I will do is sleeve this back into here. I think what's happened is, I don't know whether these are done by hand or machine, probably machine. But it's just pushed itself down in too far, and when they wrapped this wire, it just snapped. It's very easy to do, these wires are really thin, so I just need a little bit of patience when dealing with them.
So there's the wrap. So now we know this side's the positive. We can put it back in on the positive side. So there it is back in. So now we should go like that. And there we go. Right, that's all these four working, so I will do the same with these and then we'll start doing the wiring looms. Okay, so it looks like a bit of a spaghetti. I did this all off screen. I don't think anybody would want to watch me terminate these crimps. Basically, positive and negative is going onto each LED light on the back of it, and then the blue wire, as you can see, is the common 0 volt for all the micro switches. This one here hasn't been terminated. I'll terminate this one over at the machine. So I don't know if you remember the big loom, the big black cables with multiple bits and pieces hanging off it was the common, sorry. So I'll cut all those pieces off, re-terminate one of these little spade bits onto it, and then we'll have this will all be coming up, and then I'll terminate the wires that are broken or just push on the ones that are not broken, and fingers crossed the arcade machine will be up and running. Right, so here's the old wiring loom. Don't really need to worry too much about the earth strap because there's no metal now in the top of the machine. So I'll keep that, but I'll strap it back down. And we'll get started on this cable here. So I can untangle it. Yeah, so this one here that had all the nasty joins and everything in it, we'll get rid of all of this all the way back to this plug here. So yeah, all the way back to this single one. I'll cut this off, we'll terminate it, get the common and get rid of most of this wiring. Right. So here's the common. So here's the wire now terminated onto the common, which comes from down the bottom of the machine. Put that onto the last micro switch. Still loose, but I'll do all these so you don't have to watch me do the whole lot. Okay, so in the end I've just remade all the connector blocks for the trigger wires because they were all damaged and squished and broken, so I redid it all, which is quite nice. So drop the positive and negative down through there. Get that down in its space. What I'll try and do now is get the clamps locked up underneath. Right, power back up again. Turn off his main lights. We've got the 2 lights on over here. A little bit better in the front. You can still see where some of the cores are shining through, but I don't think we can really do too much about that because the strip light is actually at the back. So I'm happy with that. Where's 94? King of Fighters 94. So left, right, up, down. Left, right, up, down. Red, yellow, blue, green. Happy days. The machine is back up and running. Right. Hope everyone enjoyed the video. Hit that sub and leave some comments. It'd be fantastic. Cheers, guys.